A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional. Hello and welcome back to Oversharing. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Dr. Naomi Bernstein.
How is it going? How's life? I'm excited to see you.
Everything's good. It's full-fledged summer here in Texas. So the kids are all home all the time. You know, it's interesting that having older kids, a couple things we could talk about here, but like one thing that's interesting having older kids is that I no longer like have to have them occupied in the summer because I could work and they could just be here like entertaining themselves. So that's a blessing and a curse. I don't have to like keep them in camps and pay for constant childcare, but then I turn into this naggy. I leave just like lists of chores when I go into work. Nice. So I become like a naggy warden where I'm like, you know, constantly coming out during my breaks and like checking on whether they've walked the dogs and pulled the weeds and unloaded the dishwasher. So that's fun for them.
Sounds like a blast.
Sounds like a blast. And then there's another issue.
Do they do it?
Yeah, I mean, we just started, so not really yet, but I'm giving giving them a couple days to warm up. I buy them the things they want. So yeah,
That's
I guess.
Payment.
Yeah. And we do have like a little digital bank account, but usually it's spent before it gets into the digital bank account. You know, like.
Right. You don't even have a chance.
Yes.
Right. I saw something online about that with this guy who was like suggesting basically like not to pay your kids for like tasks that are for them, like making your bed doesn't get you paid. But if you do like a household task, then you can get paid because it teaches them like about working for.
Yeah. Like some things I don't like walking the dogs, you know. My whole thing about the dogs was I was like, you guys want dogs?
It's your dog.
It's your dog. Yeah. So
right, that's for them.
Yeah. Like picking weeds and stuff like that I'll pay them for because that's annoying.
Well, they also probably don't really care if there's
weeds. They don't
weeds
care if there's weeds. Right. Yeah. So like the extra things, like things like that, I'll pay them for. Unloading the dishwasher, that's like part of living in a house. I pay them for the stuff that's annoying extras, like organizing the Tupperware. Right? Things that are like annoying tasks, stuff like that. But it's funny because as they get older and they're useful and they can do things like organizing the Tupperware, I'm kind of like, I'm going to save this for when we can collectively organize the Tupperware. So I don't really I don't almost take ownership over that stuff anymore. Now it becomes like a we
need to organize, right?
And it's not even, you know,
putting them to work like a farm.
Yes, like a farm. It really does become more like once they reach a certain age, like even when there's towels that need to be folded, I'm kind of like, where is everybody? The towels need to be folded. Like it's not even my job anymore. So it's an interesting change, but I do have a lot of patients that have little kids where they're not folding towels and they're not organizing Tupperware and they're not pulling weeds. They're very needy and they're not participating in these things. And when you're a full-time working parent, it can become very overwhelming to find time to fold laundry and have an organized kitchen and just clean and vacuum and tidy up, pick up toys. I mean, yours are little. They don't make messes yet. I mean, aside from spitting up on things.
Yeah, but even I still feel like that they're still like spit. It's also just like there's not as much. They still have like laundry that needs to be done. I mean, the nanny does a lot of that, but like there's a lot of other stuff. And it does feel like it's weird because like my free time is now like doing the chores that I wouldn't consider that my free time before, but now it's like, oh, I have like a couple hours this weekend. I should like do the laundry.
Yeah. Even with like babies, there's still unloading the dishwasher,
bottle washer.
Yes.
Shit, yeah.
And just life, groceries and cleaning and vacuuming. And so I think a lot of people feel very overwhelmed with this feeling of like something's got to give at some point, especially if you're working long hours and you want to spend time with your actual kids and spend time with your partner and spend time on self-care and spend time with friends and have a hobby and exercise and meditate. And, I talk to people like something's got to give. And to me, I think oftentimes the thing that's got to give is like tidiness, or at least that's what I often suggest is like the first thing that you can let go of is tidiness, because it's not like quality time with people you love, and it's not taking care of your actual human body that's going to carry you through life. And it's not taking care of your mental health, like meditation or, relaxation. It's just keeping things tidy. But I think people really struggle to let go of that. Like it means something about you, or it's just really hard to live in a space that doesn't feel neat and tidy and organized. Like, I don't know. And I'm curious what your thoughts are. It feels almost like I'm this type of person, or my life is out of control, or.
Well, as a type B, self-proclaimed disgusting. Like, my
okay
closet's always been, I'm more okay with it. But I also I agree with you, but I kind of think like the thing to go should vary based on the individual. Like what gives them the most anxiety, what makes them feel like what actually serves them the most. Like some people don't really I like working out. I don't care that much about a super organized closet or laundry room or whatever it is. So yeah, I'm with you. Like the tidiness that'll get done when it gets done. But like other people might be like, yeah, I don't get that much joy from working out. I actually kind of find it to be like a drag. Maybe that's the thing that goes for them. Like I do think it's like a little bit like just person dependent on what brings them the most peace of, like, I feel like much better version of myself when I've taken a walk or like gone to the gym. And I think a lot of people feel like a much better version of themselves when their space is organized. I'm not one of those people. So I'm like totally, if it was me and you, like, I think we'd choose that. But I do think it's more individual than that.
So in other words, tidying is a form of self-care for people.
I think so. Or having, in the same way working out is. It's like, I'm still doing work to make it happen, but the amount of like pleasure I get from having done it or being done with it is more important to me than other things.
Yeah. I guess I never thought of it as like taking care of your space can feel like taking care of yourself. Like I usually think of like taking care of your body feels like taking care of yourself. Taking care of your mind feels like taking care of your actual physical mind and body feels like self-care. But I think it's an interesting perspective that maybe taking care of the space that you are occupying feels like taking care of yourself for some people.
Some people feel like taking care of themselves is like, I have friends who are like, they need to put on a nice outfit that they're like really proud of and dress really well. And that makes them feel like a better version of themselves. That's not me. Like, that's why like the first thing to go for me is like constricting pants. It is. Yeah. I'm like, and some people would be like, oh wow, like how could you live like that? Like every day in sweatpants every day and like workout clothes, like, but that doesn't do it for me. So that's the first thing that I like.
That is so true. Yeah. When I'm like in a really good mood, or like I wake up and I feel like energized and just really great, is the only time that I'll put on like a pair of pants. Yeah. Or like the first time, like you're so right. The first thing to go, if I wake up and I'm like tired or lethargic, or I'm just like not feeling the day ahead of me, like the first thing to go is like pants.
Yeah. It's going to be, I need to wear the most comfortable thing that I could possibly find, no matter what it looks like.
It's a really good perspective that I hadn't thought about, as like your space, taking care of your space does for some people feel like a form of self-care. I'm glad you brought that up. I will really take that with me, because I just didn't realize that could be a thing for some people, where it feels more like your internal is more of what is going to affect the way that you feel. But I can see that, where it feels like, the same way the weather might really affect people. I mean, that's not something you can control, but you can control. Look, I like a tidy space. Don't get me wrong. On the hierarchy, the pyramid,
for you specifically,
if I can go up, a tidy space is great, but that's not going to be where I'm going my go-to thing. But it is really hard, I think, for people to feel like they're just drowning and everything is equally important. I think there are people where they're like, yeah, I like exercise and I like a tidy space. I need to feel like I like the body that I'm moving around in, and I feel strong and I feel fit. And I also want a tidy house, and I want to spend time with my kids, and I want a connection with my partner, and I need to do well at work, and I need sleep. And, it's like, it's very, very challenging.
It's like you a partner. Can't have everything in a partner. Sometimes you need to do like, what's a more important trait to me in a partner. I can't have like every single thing. They're not perfect, but will I accept a partner who's a little bit less of this because there are a lot more of that? Like, because that matters more to me.
The other thing is that I will say is the idea of spending time with your kids, or like maximizing the most amount of time with your kids. And I get that. I feel this very deeply for those who are parents. It's somehow, and it's because the passing of time, and kids grow so fast, and you love them so much and you don't want to miss a second, but it's okay. Right? It's okay to have a week where you spend less time with them, or a day where you only see them for a half an hour. It's not, we talked last week about, about like someone giving you permission. Like, this is me giving you permission that your kids are going to be okay if on a day you choose to work out, and that means that you only get to see them for a kiss goodnight, or you choose to, it's important that you want to wake up to a clean kitchen, and so your partner puts them to bed so that you can wake up to the clean kitchen, or whatever your priority is. Like, they will be okay. You will get to spend time the next time. Like,
and that was something that helped me with like what we were talking about last week with like the sleep training thing, was that this other mom had said to me, like, you'll be a better mom when you're sleeping. Like, so like you could be the most attentive mom 24 hours a day, but you could be a more present, engaged, better mood, energetic mom if you've had a full night's sleep. So it's like you could do everything like mediocrely. Like, you could have like a workout where you're kind of just like not really in it, or like a house that you're like running after every spill and every like thing and every, but like, I think something will have to give. So it's like, I do think it's better to do fewer things better. And like maybe the kid, that you could go to the gym and then you only see your kid for half an hour. But when you're there for the half an hour, you're like engaged and playing and loving it, as opposed to being with them for like 2 hours and just feeling like so wiped out.
I agree. So, but I want to validate the challenge, the struggle. It is really hard to feel like you're never not enough of anything. And I, talk a lot about kind of this untethered soul concept of like watching that voice in your head, stepping back behind and listening to that internal dialogue, which is often this running trance, this tape of not being enough. This, I'm not enough. I'm never enough. So just stepping back and being aware. And this doesn't just go for parents. This is for everybody. I think we often have this internal dialogue that we are not enough. So just stepping back and watching that, being, the observer of that trance of not enough, and stopping yourself and creating a pause and saying, you are enough. Your house is tidy enough. You are fit enough. You are present. You are spending enough time. You are good enough at your job, like reminding yourself that you are enough. Because I think sometimes it can just feel like we just run around all day feeling like we're not enough at anything. So I am here to remind you, you are enough. You are doing enough. You are enough for everybody, your partner, your parents, your siblings, your friends. It's exhausting trying to be enough for everybody. So take a step back, one thing at a time. You got this.
You've got it. Let this be your reminder.
Yeah.
On a Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into our show. We have a voicemail this episode. If you want to leave a voicemail, you can call 646-363-6294, or you can email us at oversharing@betches.com. As always, if you'd like to subscribe to this podcast, you get 2 bonus episodes a month, and you get all the episodes ad-free and 1 day early. Or if you want to get even deeper involved in this kind of vibe and energy we've got, you can join one of Dr. Naomi's therapy groups.
Yes, come find me, naomibernstein.com. You can join our beautiful therapy community that also gives you just access to me. Everyone who's in my groups, as you know, I say at the end of every session, please reach out. They have direct access to me. I really genuinely love to hear from all my patients. It's kind of, I don't know, I wonder about them. I love hearing from them. So you get access to me if you ever need like a kind of spot individual session, something's happening. Once you're in, you're kind of in, you're in the circle. And I really do. I just am very lucky. My patients in my community, my individual patients, I care so much. I think about everybody, and it's just a great community. So, come join us. I'm here for you. And it's just a great place to kind of challenge yourself. Lots of growth exercises. If you're looking to push yourself, why can't I just be at peace with where I'm at? We'll help each other kind of figure that out, how to find peace, how to dissolve the ego a little bit and kind of relax into the life that you have. Plus just, really finding support and connection. So come find us, naomibernstein.com.
All right, I will read our first email. Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. Love you, sisters. Now diving right in. My husband of 5 years and I are very lucky to live near family. We have 2 toddlers and a 3rd baby on the way. Their support is what makes our growing family possible. I'm so grateful for this. Specifically, the family close by is my husband's, so I feel weird breaking their old family norms and want your advice. We see his parents and brother 2 to 4 times a week. They watch our kids 2 days weekly, and then there's always another dinner, holiday, activity, or events, which gets everyone together. Sometimes the marathon hangs are too much for me. If we're hosting a midweek dinner, I want to be able to fold laundry or unwind by the time we get the kids to sleep and not sit around and talk more after. Since we see each other so frequently, I don't think such lengthy catch-ups are needed. Most recently, we were making birthday dinner plans for grandma, and I asked my husband if we could do cake at the restaurant instead of going back to their house for dessert afterwards. He seemed to think this was rude. But what about singing happy birthday? We can do that at the restaurant, or does grandma need a full chorus to sing for her? My goal was to celebrate in a 2-hour time frame and 1 location instead of 4 hours and 2 locations. Logistics with a 3 and 1-year-old can make me less laid back, I know. I try to push my husband to do more solo things with our kids and his family, but he doesn't unless I plan it. Then it's obvious I'm choosing to miss the gathering. How can I cut visits shorter without seeming rude? Is it okay to modify family norms of a family that you come into as an outsider? Thanks. 5K-er, not marathoner.
She is a sweetie. You are a real sweetie. I think you can just say, hey, I'm going to head home.
I'm leaving 1 kid with you. I'm going to take the other one.
Yeah. Something of that nature. Either I'm going to take the little one home, put this one to bed. Would love to, sing happy birthday here if that's an option. If not, happy birthday. I think you're a sweetheart. You're trying to do the best you can, but you have 2 kids, a 3rd on the way. I think it's okay to set some boundaries. We were just talking about this, right? Like,
I don't need to spend 6 hours celebrating your grandma's birthday on like a weekend. I could see that. Yeah.
Yes. It's a lot of time. And I do think that is part of getting married the family dynamic is going to change when you have, 2 small kids. I'm just surprised it hasn't happened. I think usually this happens where it's like, okay, I have to get the kids to bed at a certain time. Like I remember
use them.
Yes. I remember being, before I had kids, and we would go for a hang, and I have like a certain social battery that runs out at a time. And I remember there was a mom there that had little kids, and she would, at a certain point at the hang, she would like take her kids and go upstairs to put her kids to bed. And I remember being a little jealous. Like she got to like just exit the hang at a certain point and she was done and she went upstairs and then she never came back. And that was her out and she was done for the night. And I remember being like, wow, that sounds nice.
That's true. There's a lot of hardships that come with having kids. This is one of the benefits is that they're a blanket excuse, even if they don't really need much. I think it's like a great way to exit. I think Mike and I both do this with each other's families. Like if we kind of need a little break, I'm going to go take the baby seems upset. I'm going to go take a little walk with her or like, I'll change the diaper. You stay here. Don't worry.
So I definitely think it's reasonable and you're entitled to want some alone time after the kids go to sleep. You're entitled to want to just sit and like listen to a podcast and fold your laundry. And
yeah, honestly, even if she didn't have kids, I think you are entitled to that. Yeah. I think it's like not everyone likes hanging out in the same way. Some families I think our family is very much like, we're going to go to dinner. We do more into like more shorter hangs, or at least we were when everyone lived in the same state. And I think other people are like, I do like Christmas at Mike's and it's like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It's like a 48-hour thing. Sometimes you need a little break. Like I need to go for a little walk by myself. I need to go those are like a holiday where I know that's happening. So it's fine, but I wouldn't be able to do that every week. So I think she should give herself permission, as we've said, to not go to the whole thing.
And I get what she's saying. I think you don't want to feel like you're using them. Like when it's convenient for you, they come over and they spend all day because they're watching your kids. And so it's okay. And then when you don't want it or when you don't need it, you're leaving early. So I get what you're saying, but I do think you can set a reasonable boundary of like 2 hours for a family hang when it's not like you haven't seen them in 6 months. I think 2 hours for a weekly family hang, giving you permission is enough time to say, either I'm going to take one kid, or even you said you want him to do more things alone with the kids. I think it's very reasonable to be like, hey, I'm kind of tired. I'm going to go home. I just want to relax a little bit. Why don't you and the kids go back to your grandma's house and I'll see you later.
And if he's not okay with that plan, I think it's because he doesn't want to watch the kids. So like he can go home with you then.
Right.
With the kids. I would like push him to be like, this is what I can give and this is what I can't give. Your option is to like also come back with me or stay with the kids.
There's a lot of options. You're saying I'll take one. Maybe you'll even take two. Maybe you'll take both. If he wants to stay, he can go back to grandma. So you're giving him all of the options that don't involve you staying. He can stay alone. He can stay with one kid. He can stay with both kids. Whatever you're giving him sounds like lots of options, all other than you staying longer than 2 hours. So I think that's pretty reasonable. And it is going to change their family dynamic a little bit. I know there's situations here where this isn't hers, but the other sister-in-law, daughter-in-law stays and I don't. That's okay. There's something you're prioritizing here for yourself, whether it's rest or quiet, or you just don't feel like socializing for that long. It is different when you're hanging out with your family of origin. Sometimes when you're hanging out with your in-laws, there's just a different level of comfort in some ways where you just don't feel quite as completely yourself, completely relaxed. You feel like you have to make conversation or say the right thing or make a good impression still. And that's okay. And I'm glad you're writing in. I really want you to feel okay with setting a boundary here, letting him know ahead of time, hey, after dinner, I'm going home. I'm open to any of the above options if you want to come or not or whatever.
And she writes, is it okay to modify family norms of a family that you're not in, that you come into as an outsider? I don't think you need to modify whatever they're doing. They can hang out marathon style like all they want. I wouldn't come in and be like, you guys need to stop hanging out all day. You guys need to just do 2 hours. Like if they want to hang out all day, that's fine. The norms don't need to be modified. Your actions can be modified. Just modify your own self.
Yeah. And what it involves, which is a little annoying, we do this often, is like you have to just take 2 separate cars. Slightly irritating. It's not ideal, but like take 2 separate cars. I'm going to leave. I'll see you later.
Yeah, I'm with her. I wouldn't go back to grandma's house. I'm going home after the dinner.
I kind of agree with that too. And that is going to be a change. And your husband's probably not going to love it at first. He doesn't want to take 2 separate cars. He wants the kids there, but he doesn't want to have to deal with them alone, I think is probably part of what needs to change.
That's on him.
Write us back. Let us know how this goes once you kind of set that boundary. And it doesn't have to be every time either. It could be like when you don't feel like it, when you do feel like it. But every now and then I would throw in, especially because it does sound like you spend a lot. I wouldn't do this if it's like you only see grandma on her birthday, or that's the only time you ever hang out with them. Then maybe, yeah, you want to do the full hang. But if you're seeing them 3 to 4 times a week, that's a lot.
You don't need to do this. It's not necessary.
Permission granted.
I wouldn't make anyone do that if it was me, if I was the husband.
This is a thing, right? This is one of the harder parts, I think, of joining families is there are these family norms, and maybe sister-in-law or whomever just kind of joined in. It is hard to be the first one to say, I'm not doing that. It's hard.
Every time. Yeah.
Right. It's hard to do it, but it's just because he doesn't like it, you don't like it, and you're doing it. And you haven't liked it, and you still keep doing it. So he's going to have to not like it and do it anyway, just like you've not liked it and done it anyway.
Let's do a Betchicist.
Hi, Jordana and Naomi. Love the podcast. Here's my question. I just had a baby a few months ago, and I'm exclusively breastfeeding the baby. No pumps, no bottles. I love the experience and have no problem with it. If I'm out and about, I discreetly breastfeed. For example, at the nail salon, the park, a baby class, a restaurant with family, etc. However, if I'm with my husband's family, he feels very strongly that I either wear some kind of shawl, blanket over my baby or go into a private room. I hate this. I'm not embarrassed by breastfeeding, and I don't like to leave the room because I have other kids and I like to be with them, keep my eye on them. Sometimes I'm in the middle of something, like sitting with them while they eat lunch, etc. We spend a good amount of time with my husband's family, so this isn't a random issue I run into. I breastfeed relatively openly otherwise, while using my judgment, of course. I don't go out of my way to do it in front of people and try to be a bit private where appropriate. What should I do? I know the PC answer is that I'm feeding my baby and I can do it wherever I want, but I also don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. I don't love wearing one of those feeding blankets as it feels weird to put something over my baby while eating. Also, a breastfed baby sometimes eats every hour, so it can be annoying to keep hiding away. Thoughts?
I agree. Like the PC answer is like, you should be able to do whatever you want, whenever you want. It's not sexual. You're breastfeeding your baby. I can also understand it might feel a little weird to have your wife's breast out in front of your parents. And maybe she's comfortable with it, but I validate that if he's uncomfortable with it, it's not that weird.
She covers herself sometimes, she said, when appropriate. I could understand the feeling of like, is this, I don't want to do it. I don't want to cover myself out of the principle of the matter. It's annoying me that your parents are uncomfortable and I'm kind of like fighting the fight. Or is it really what she's saying? Like, I feel like my baby can't breathe when they're covered, or I don't like this idea of covering. My feeling is that it's probably the former of like, it's annoying me that they're annoyed. I wish they would just come to the side of like, this is natural. This is how babies feed. And you should just get on my team and deal with it. I don't think that anything's going to happen to the baby if you throw a little, muslin
Shawl,
blanket
whatever,
or just a little something, sheer, breathable something, just so that your actual breast isn't showing. It'll make him feel more comfortable. It'll make them feel more comfortable. I think the issue is that she's like annoyed that they are.
Well, they didn't even say anything. It's her husband that's saying it.
Yeah. Or she's annoyed that he's
right,
tweaked by it, which
yeah.
I get that she's kind of like, why does this bother you?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I've had like similar, not like the same, but like a sort of similar feeling as have been breastfeeding, like around where it feels comfortable to cover up or not cover up, like even like around the nanny or around like if I'm having dinner. Like even Mike was like, are we just doing this like at the dinner table? I'm like, yeah, this is my house. But if his parents were over, I'm kind of like, I don't really want your like dad to like casually sit around a table while my boob is out. Like that doesn't make me feel good. If I really wanted to, do I think I should be able to? Yes. But like, do I really want to? Right. It's kind of like, and like, I guess maybe it's a little different for her because she said she's exclusively breastfeeding, no pumps, no anything. So like,
this is when you're every meal right. that this child is getting.
Yes, you're almost like the child is you're almost like an extension of your boob. So I think I might feel differently about the in-laws maybe if I were doing it round the clock. But I agree. I think that it's okay to be it doesn't make him like a anti-feminist monster to feel a little weird about it. I can understand why someone would feel that way. And I can understand why she kind of like is like, I wish no one cared. But that's kind of not the world that we're living in.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I could see that it tweaks her, that she wishes that he was on the same page with her of like, this is just how this baby eats. So like, get over it.
I would try to make it a little more his problem. I'd be like, I understand what you want. These are the reasons why I don't like covering the thing. Can you help me find something that would make me feel like secure? Like, let's find something together where we feel like the baby is breathing and like something, let's invest in like a little top of the line breastfeeding cover. So everyone's happy here.
This is a compromise like any marital compromise, I think. And I get that it maybe feels differently to you. So like a bigger issue, like you said, a feminist issue or something, like it feels bigger than that. But I think if you could just look at it as this is just a compromise like any other compromise, it doesn't know. Like sometimes my mother-in-law will like elbow me if someone's like nursing, like boob. Yeah. I'm like, all right, relax. Like, yeah. Okay, she's feeding her baby. Like, it's like, I could see why it annoys her. Like it kind of annoys me too when people are like drawing, like making it a big deal.
Making
like
you a spectacle, right?
Yeah. If you weren't making it a big deal, if you weren't staring at her, it's not like alarms are going off over her head. Just don't look. If you weren't looking, like avert your gaze and like you would never know. It's not like, you don't need to make a big thing of it. But I get why it's annoying her. I get the other side too. It's like, I don't need my dad seeing your nipple if it like falls out and you're putting it back in. Like I see both sides of this, but I would look at it more of like, this is just a marital compromise.
A great way to get out of going to dinner with them if you're not in the mood. I think that's another part of the compromise. Like, okay, if I'm around them, I'll cover. Sometimes I'm just not going to come because I don't feel like leaving every hour to go do this.
Yeah.
That's also compromise.
Yeah. And I used to have a cover thing that it is kind of annoying. It was like, it would like stick out a little bit to like give a little bit of space. And it's not the easiest thing to wear. And it's kind of annoying. And I get it. I would compromise. I would just try to, wear it if you can. And if you don't want to, then don't, make it more of like a compromise. Or you can just say, hey, I'm going to breastfeed the baby now. If you'd like to look away, I'm just letting you know. You could say that too. I hear from people all the time about how we've gotten the emails from the wedding about how the kids are so prioritized and everyone's obsessed and life revolves around kids. Well, hey, the baby's hungry. I'm going to feed the baby. If you want to just like avert your gaze for a second, that's what's about to happen. That's another option. If you really don't want to cover. Let them know. You could try to compromise and cover up and realize this doesn't mean he's like you said, an anti-feminist monster. He just doesn't want his parents looking at your breast and your nipple. And I don't think there's more to it than that. It's just a little uncomfy for him.
Yeah. And again, I think that's like, oh, I can understand someone having that perspective.
I'm sure if Jeff and I were over at your house and you were on the couch and you just like whipped out your breast with Jeff standing there, Mike probably wouldn't love that.
I think it would feel, I wouldn't like, I mean, like maybe it's I'm prude or something, but like, I don't think I would want to, I wouldn't feel like with a cover maybe, but not without one. I feel like it's just, yeah. And maybe that's my own issue.
Yeah. But again, to each their own. She likes it. He doesn't. It's just a clash. No judgment on either. That's the problem, not the problem, but that's one of the hard parts about marriage. He's an individual, you're an individual, and this is an issue where those two things you need to come to a compromise. I guess the truth is it's your body, it's your nipple, it's your breast. So you really should be the one that gets to decide that. But sort of, right? Like to what degree does your partner
have a right to say whether his parents see your nipple or not?
Right.
The ultimate ethical question.
Right. I would try to compromise on this one. If you want a smooth marriage and you don't want this to continue to be an issue, throw a little blanket over it, a little sheer blanket. The baby will be fine. That's my take.
Okay.